Hi guys, my name is Patty Dennison. I'm a 2018 graduate of Cornell's Hotel School, a 2016 graduate of the Culinary Institute of America, and currently I'm a bartender at Hawksmoor, New York City. Today I'm going to walk you guys through two cocktails. The first is going to be just a traditional bourbon old fashioned. The second one's going to be a little rhubarb dry vermouth spritz. So we're going to start with the old fashioned. The recipe for that's just going to be 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 dash of orange bitters, a teaspoon of Demerara sugar syrup, and 2 ounces of bourbon. So, starting with that, I have just a regular little pint glass here. Any mixing glass you want to use is totally fine. I think it is important that it's clear. I'm going to show you a little trick once we go a little later on. But yeah, go ahead and start with that. Then we're going to go on with our bitters. I only have Angostura bitters. I'm going to teach you about a little trick that I have to help that with the sugar syrup. Just to kind of give that orange flavor that I'm missing because I don't have the orange bitters. So now we have the Demerara sugar syrup. It's going to be a teaspoon of that. First, let me just walk you through how to make it. It's 2 parts sugar to 1 part water. I gave you all the recipe in grams. You can do it in volume format if you want it. Just 2 to 1 still, it's about the same ratio. So we're going to put that in a small saucepan on medium heat just until the sugar is completely dissolved and it's ready to go. And you can make as much of this as you want. It's, it lasts in the refrigerator for weeks. So if you drink a lot of old fashions, make a lot of syrup. Again, if you want like a more traditional old fashioned, you're used to the sugar cube, you can toss a sugar cube in at the beginning and kind of muddle it in with the bitters, or just like a teaspoon of sugar. I do like the sugar syrup. One of the reasons is that you can flavor it. So I don't have orange bitters, so I put a couple orange peels in here still to give that little orange flavor in the drink. If you don't have Angostura bitters, you can put a little cinnamon, put a little clove, and kind of compensate for the ingredient you don't have. So I just have a teaspoon of the Demerara syrup. I'm gonna hold that teaspoon not over the drink. So if I pour a ton of sugar syrup in, I'm not messing the drink up. I'm doing it to the side. Once you get to drinks that, have more ingredients in them, it's a little bit more important because you could be on the 5th ingredient and then you mess it up. So just make sure you're always kind of doing it over to the side. So that's just 1 teaspoon of the Demerara sugar syrup. I'm just using a regular old teaspoon measure. I just kind of took it off, so I just have 1 instead of all the measurements. And now we're going to go into the bourbon. So I have Woodford Reserve. You can use whatever bourbon you have at your house or whatever whiskey you like. Rye old fashions are really popular. Just, whatever your preferred style of whiskey is. And now if you don't have jiggers, I'm using Japanese jiggers here. You're more than welcome to use just a tablespoon is the same thing as a 1/2 ounce. So you could go ahead and put 4 tablespoons in. Also, these little measuring cups are great. They have the ounces on the side, so one of these filled is 2 ounces. You could use this. Really just whatever you can find to make it work at home is great. So now we're going to go ahead and stir that up. I have a cocktail spoon. If you don't have one, a normal spoon's fine. We're going to fill that glass up with ice. So this is kind of where the clear glass comes in. I use it as a trick because you can see how diluted the cocktail is. So I can see, look, it's pretty low right now. It's probably pretty strong. I'm going to stir it a little bit, and the more I stir it, the higher it gets, and the lighter it gets. So the more old fashions you make, you don't even have to taste them. You can just see where it's at in the glass and see the color, and you should know it's done. And that's something, if you use the same glass every time, this might make it so you're, more aware of when it's finished and when it isn't. Also, an old fashioned is a drink that's on the rocks, unlike a Manhattan, it's a drink that's served up. So you have to think the drink's going to continue to dilute. It's going to continue to get cold because there's an ice cube in the glass. Now, if you're making a drink like a Manhattan, the coldest it's ever going to be is when you pour it into the glass. So you're going to want to stir a drink like that a little bit longer just because it's only going to get warmer and warmer. So I have my glass in the freezer. I think it's a really, nice way just to elevate cocktails at home and to keep the drink colder a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that glass. And then I'm going to put the ice cube in the drink before I pour it on. I would use tongs, but unfortunately I don't have any here. And so with the big ice, if you have some of those big molds at home, that's absolutely great. Now, if you don't, like me, I just fill the loaf pan up with water, put it in the freezer. It's not going to give you clear ice, but that's okay. And you can freeze it and then just cut it with a serrated knife so you have big ice cubes. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour that on. Now I'm using a julep strainer. If you don't have a julep strainer, you can use whatever you want. If you have a colander, if you have a sieve, if you have one of these fine mesh strainers, a Hawthorne strainer, whatever you have at home is gonna work. And now just to finish the drink, we're gonna garnish it with orange oils. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this oil out of the orange peel. So we're just gonna kind of spritz it on top like that. You're gonna just bend it in half. You don't really need to rub it around like that. It's fine, we've already done the job. So really we just get these orange oils on top of the drink. So when you sip it, you're gonna smell that beautiful orange and citrus in the drink. It's really nice. I like to go ahead and put the orange peel in the drink. I think it adds a nice pop of color. You're more than welcome to discard it at this point because we've done everything we need to. That's your traditional bourbon old fashioned. Cheers, guys. So now on to the spritz. So with the spritz, I'm going to be using a Boston shaker because we're going to go ahead and shake this drink. You can also use a cobbler shaker if you have one, or just a mason jar works totally fine. So now going with that, I like to go citrus, then syrups, then alcohol next. This goes your cheaper ingredients to your more expensive ingredients, which is really nice because if you mess up, it's fine because it's just lemon juice. So I'm gonna add a ½ ounce of lemon juice. You're gonna make sure if you're using jiggers, you wanna fill it up all the way to the top. Again, this is something you can also do with tablespoon measurements or one of these little guys. Now I'm going to use a full ounce of the rhubarb syrup. The rhubarb syrup is really easy to make, just like the demerara syrup. You're just going to mix equal parts of white sugar, water, and rhubarb in a small saucepan on medium heat. Bring it up to a simmer once all the sugar is dissolved. Go ahead and blitz it up in the blender. It's ready to go. I'm using rhubarb. It's just unseasoned now. I think it's a really beautiful ingredient. You can use whatever you have. If you have strawberries, if you have raspberries, blackberries, it's gonna taste good. It's gonna pair well with this drink. Again, rhubarb's in season, fresh or frozen, both work. Absolutely delicious. Next ingredient, Aperol. It's an Italian aperitif. You might know it from the classic Aperol Spritz. I think it's really nice. It adds a nice little bitter note that pairs really well with the rhubarb. If you don't have Aperol, that's fine. I think it's kind of like the key to the drink and makes it absolutely delicious. Also, you have a good excuse to drink Aperol Spritzes all summer long if you have a bottle of this guy. Now on to the dry vermouth. So I'm actually using Blanc vermouth, which is a derivative of dry vermouth. It has a little bit more residual sugar, and it has less of kind of like the sharper notes dry vermouth can have. More floral, orange blossom, vanilla. It's really nice, really pretty. It makes a delicious martini. I know kind of dry vermouth went out of style for a while. Those really dry martinis were in. I think vermouth's really nice, and part of the reason why people don't like it is because it isn't stored properly. It's a fortified aromatized wine, so it's something you need to keep in the fridge. So the vermouth we have that's been sitting in the cabinet for 3 years is not going to taste the same as this vermouth that I bought a couple weeks ago and I've been keeping it in the fridge. I think if you are under the impression you don't like vermouth, you should give this dry vermouth another try. But you know, if I can't convince you, you can leave the dry vermouth out of the drink and go ahead and top with Prosecco and using the soda water, and it's still delicious. So I'm going to add a full 1.5 ounces of dry vermouth. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And then we're going to shake it. So I'm putting this in just a white wine glass. Now if you don't have any white wine glasses, any glass works. Rocks glass, highball. I just think it's nice. It's kind of what people usually put spritzes in, and it's really pretty. So now with the drink, you want to use the same amount of ice whenever you shake a drink. So since I have this large tin, it's like a measurement. I'm just going to fill this guy up all the way every time. And then I know I'm using the same amount of ice. This consistency is just going to make your drinks a little more consistent at home. So, you know, you don't make a drink one time and it's really strong and another time and it's, you know, really weak. It's just going to give you a little bit more guidelines at home. So I have that filled to the top, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put the tin on top. Make sure with whatever you're using that you make a nice tight seal, so you don't want this flying off and getting the drink everywhere. Also, when you shake it, instead of just going back and forth, try and make a little bit of a circle, because that's going to have it hit all 4 corners of the shaker or the mason jar, whatever you're using. Aerate the drink a little too, instead of just combining and chilling the ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and shake this. Alright, right, you're just gonna wanna separate the tins or take the lid off the mason jar. All right, and that should be a nice tight seal, and it's nice and frothy inside, which is exactly what we wanted. So we're just gonna put some ice in our white wine glass here. Just be careful, white wine glasses are a little delicate, you don't wanna break the glass. Just fill it up about 2/3, 3/4 of the way. So we're gonna take this, I am double straining it, you don't have to, again, whatever you have to strain the drinks works. So I'm gonna strain this just directly into the glass here. And then we're gonna top with a little club soda sparkling water. I have Tobo Chico here, that's what I really like to drink. It's about 1.5 ounces. Really just top that up. And it's beautiful, it's a bright pink color. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my cocktail spoon, or if you have whatever spoon you have at home, just put it in and kind of bring the ice up a little bit. What that's gonna do, it's just gonna fully incorporate the sparkling water with the drink we just shook. Make sure you never shake with, you know, carbonated beverages. It's gonna explode in the tin or in the mason jar and you can have a really big mess. So just make sure you top the drink with the Prosecco if you're using that, the sparkling water if you're using the original recipe. Now, you don't have to garnish it, like this is ready to go. I have a little lemon and mint, so I'm just gonna make it a little fancy with a little lemon wheel on the side. And then toss a little mint sprig in. I think the mint's really nice when you're drinking it, just to kind of have the aroma in your nose. There's your little jar vermouth rhubarb spritz. It's absolutely a great summer sipper. It's also a little bit lower in alcohol, which I think is really nice because in quarantine you can drink these all day long. So thank you guys for joining me, learning about this, you know, bourbon old fashioned vermouth rhubarb spritz. And cheers, guys.